Player ratings then. You know the score. Everton 2, Watford 5. Josh King scored an hat-trick. Do you know what? If you don't laugh, you'll cry. Honestly, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. I've had about 15 minutes to calm myself down. I say to calm myself down. In that 15 minutes, I've just done the instant match reaction. So I haven't really calmed myself down. I've just got everything out on the instant match reaction. Yeah, Everton have been absolutely thrashed at Goodison Park. The worst defensive performance I've ever seen as an Everton fan. All things considered, we might have lost by more. We might have given up, more goals in a game. But that, all things considered, is the worst defensive performance I've ever witnessed as an Evertonian. Certainly at Goodison Park. Watford are a team that was struggling to pick up points as it was. Never mind win games. Never mind win games in that fashion. Just absolutely shocking. But anyway, this is the player ratings. We'll get straight into it. Jordan Pickford, I've given him a 3 today. Obviously, he conceded 5 goals. I haven't watched any of the 5 back, and I won't be watching any of the 5 back. I can't lie, to be honest with you. I will not be putting myself through that shambles again. I don't think from sort of first viewing that any of them were really his fault. I don't think he was at fault for any of them individually. Having said that, I think his distribution today was poor. I think he made a couple of big saves. He made one massive save from Josh King at 1-1 to deny him from making it 2-1 to Watford. Obviously, it didn't matter because he went on and scored an hat-trick anyway. But he made a big save then. He made a couple of big saves, when Watford were 3-2 up and 2-2 to deny, not 2-2, sorry, 3-2 up and 4-2 up to deny them from extending their lead. But ultimately, he couldn't really do much about, any of the other 5 goals. I think defensively, the back 4 were a shambles today, an absolute shambles. But look, Jordan's conceded 5, and as I said, I think his distribution was a little bit poor as well. I think he made a couple of sort of mistakes here and there. Maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. He wasn't awful, but again, as I said, I haven't seen any of the goals back, so maybe he could have done better for a couple of them. Luca Dean, 1. Very, very lucky to get a 1. Very, very lucky to get a 1. I've said before, I won't sit here and give anybody a 0 or a minus number because that's just taking the piss. But Luca Dean doesn't get any more than a 1 today. Going forward, put in 1 or 2 nice balls into the box. Put one in, which Tom Davis got on the end of. Should have scored a chance when the ball comes across the box and he finds himself with it, and he just absolutely blasted over the bar. But defensively today, he formed, a quarter of a back line that which were absolutely ripped apart by a Watford side that, as I said, let's be honest, with all respect to Watford, and they deserve to win and all of that today, let's be honest, they're not great. And Luca Dean got taught inside out today. So Luca Dean's getting a 1. Michael Keane's getting a 1.5. He gets the 0.5 for his assist for Richarlison's goal. Really, really nice think ball over the top for Richie to get on the end of. But again, formed part of a back line that were just absolutely ran rings around today. I thought Josh King, considering this is the same Josh King who played for Everton for the last 4 or 5 months of last season and couldn't score a goal, couldn't get in the team to start a game, didn't really cause any problems to any defenders in the Premier League at Everton. And yes, he might be more confident now and he might be fitter now and he might be enjoying his football a bit more now, but he's still the same player who played for Everton last season. And as I said, if there was any backline that were going to give him the freedom to go on and score an hat-trick, it was always going to be Everton's, wasn't it? He ran rings around our backline today, absolute rings around them. And Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey both just had an absolute nightmare trying to deal with him. They couldn't win anything in the air. They couldn't hold him, physically. They didn't really win anything on the ball. Michael Keane not only formed part of a defence that conceded 5 goals, but also 3, 4, 5 times in the game very nearly give the ball away to concede another 1 or 2. So for me, as I said, he gets a 1.5. The 0.5 is for the assist for Richarlison. But again, really, really bad today. Ben Godfrey gets a 1. Worst performance in an Everton shirt for me today by Ben Godfrey. He's got a lot to learn, Ben. A lot to learn. And I think we may have all, including myself, and I'll include myself in this, we may have all fell under the trap last season of, I don't want to say overhyping him, but maybe believing in his ability a little bit more than what we should have. Look, he was absolutely excellent last season, and his effort, his passion, his desire, the slide tackles, the pace, all of that and all of this, obviously, made us quickly fall in love with Ben Godfrey. But I think what we've seen today, and what we've seen on a number of times this season, and a couple last season as well, but certainly more often this season, we've seen a centre-back who needs to learn an awful lot before he's going to be a Premier League centre-back. the back line, the back two today, Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey both showed why, without Yerry Mina next to either one of them, they're absolutely shocking defensively. They're absolutely shocking. I said it in the instant match reaction. I've just come back 2 hours ago from watching Norwich absolutely be thrashed 7-0 away to Chelsea, and sat there thinking, whatever it'll be, it won't be as bad as that. And we were much worse today. Defensively, we were much worse. And I think Ben, as I said, I think it was his worst game in an Everton shirt. I don't want to sit here and go in on him because he, again, last season he was brilliant and he's had performances this season where he's played well as well, but he's got a lot to learn defensively. He's not the finished article, and maybe he's not the player that some of us, including myself, probably believed him to be last season. Defensively, positional-wise, he's got a lot to learn. Physicality-wise, he's got a lot to learn, and it just seems at the moment that whenever Ben Godfrey comes up against a big physical centre-forward who's not afraid to put his body in front of him, he just can't deal with them. So Ben Godfrey gets a 1. Seamus Coleman gets a 1 as well. Again, far too easy on that right-hand side for Watford to attack. Number of times they got down there and threw balls into the box. Number of times they got down there and found it far too easy to exploit us. He wasn't particularly bad today, Seamus Coleman. And again, you might say, oh, Cam, but he done this going forward or he done that going forward. I refuse to give any one of those defenders more than a 1.5 today. And as I said, Michael Keane only gets a 1.5 because of the assist. Anything else, and he gets much less. He gets a 1 for the rest of them. You don't concede 4 goals in 15 minutes, 5 goals at home to Watford, and expect to come away with anything more than a 1. And Seamus falls under that as well today. Alan is getting a 3. Again, there was a couple of times in the game that he maybe moved the ball and he won the ball back on a couple of times, but the midfield was just completely overrun today. Forget about the 5 goals for a second. Forget about the mad 15-minute spell where we conceded 4. Watford found it far too easy to hold the ball today, far too easy to move it forward, far too easy to get at us, far too easy to take it past the midfield. And I think the absence of Abdoulaye Doucouré was a massive miss today, as clear, and I really don't know how we are going to cope over the next 6-7 weeks without Abdoulaye Doucouré, because it's very clear we can't cope. But I just thought Alan got, again, exposed on a number of times when he shouldn't have been. He won the ball back a couple of times and he moved forward a couple of times, and you might say, oh, he fell victim of what was an awful performance, and he actually wasn't that bad, but he should be dominating that midfield. It shouldn't even be a question. We should be sitting here saying Watford couldn't get anywhere near Alan. He was absolutely unstoppable today, but he wasn't. Tom Davies gets a 4. Again, gets an added sort of bonus for his goal. Really good to see Tom back on the score sheet after what was a really good start for Everton, to be fair. A couple of minutes in, really nice play by Anthony Gordon and Damari Gray, and Tom gets across and gets the crucial touch. But for the rest of the game, he was involved at times. There was moments where he won the ball back, or moments where he won a foul or he moved it forward, but I just think there was an awful lot of reliance today on Tom Davies to almost be like Abdoulaye Doucouré, almost put in that Abdoulaye Doucouré-esque performance. And he isn't Abdoulaye Doucouré. He's not as fast as Abdoulaye Doucouré. He can't get about the pitch as quick as Abdoulaye Doucouré can. He's just not. He's not Abdoulaye Doucouré. So when we've got that reliance on him to do that role, he's not quick enough to do that role. And I thought, as I said, overall, the midfield as a whole today for me was exposed because of that. And Tom got his goal. Tom scored, which was absolutely brilliant. But there was a couple of times when Watford just found it far too easy to move that ball forward. And as I said, in transition, in attack, countering, that last 15 minutes was a shambles. Anthony Gordon's getting a 7. For me, really impressive performance. I thought he was, again, the best player on the pitch in an Everton shirt until he come off. And I still don't quite understand why he come off. I don't know why Rafa Benitez has made that substitution. I think it should have been Solomon Rondon who left the pitch. And you can say to me, oh, you're like, yeah, but Cam, the manager wanted to put 2 up front. The manager wanted to, have Richarlison helping out Rondon and this, that and the other. But Rondon, again, for 60 minutes, whatever it was, had done absolutely nothing. As he'd done for the previous 90 last week, 90 week before, etc. He's not offered us anything. So how he's managed to stay on the pitch for that long, again, is beyond me. But why Anthony Gordon has been the player that had come off, even if he'd have brought Andros Townsend off, I'd have said, okay, he's put a couple of good balls in. But I'd understand. For me, I don't get why Rondon didn't come off. I don't get it. But out of all the other players that were going to come off, Anthony Gordon would have been the last on the list that I would have taken off personally. He was the player that was playing with the most confidence. He was the most lively. Damari Gray, you could argue as well. And he seemed hungry to go and get a goal. He had a couple of chances in the first half which were unlucky. He seemed hungry to go out there and make an impact, and he comes off. Yeah, as I said, I've not got really a bad word to say about Anthony Gordon today. I don't think there's much negative to say about him. Damari Gray, I'm going to give Damari Gray a 6 today. Worked hard, as he usually does. Was kicked up and down the pitch all game today, by the way. The refereeing was disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. How we didn't have 2 penalties, potentially, definitely one. The challenge on Damari Gray is shocking. And if it's that challenge is made on, Sadio Mane or Mohamed Salah or Kevin De Bruyne or Cristiano Ronaldo, it's straight to the penalty spot, no questions asked. Referee again proved today why they're the worst in the world and why they shouldn't be anywhere near professional football. They're a disgrace. Kicked up and down the field all game. You could see evidently a couple of times throughout the second half, he was pulling up, he was holding his leg, he didn't look comfortable, but he still picked the ball up, he still worked hard, he still tried to create chances. He got the assist for the opening goal, of course, which was a great ball across, and he absolutely tore the defender inside out. And, as I said, he was still trying to get the ball in the box. He was still trying to create chances. Even if he got caught a couple of times, he was still working hard. So, Damari Gray gets a 6 for me. Andros Townsend gets a 5. Very similar. Again, struggled with the out ball today, but still putting balls into the box, trying to create chances, working hard, defensively getting back and working hard and battling and fighting. Again, look, maybe could have done more, in that 15-minute spell, but ultimately he's an attacker. He was putting balls into the box, he was trying to create chances, and nobody was getting on the end of it. And then Solomon Rondon gets a 2 today for me. We've again, gone another 90 minutes of watching Solomon Rondon. Yes, he works hard. Yes, he puts his body on the line. Yes, he might be a bit of a bulldozer, but he's not causing defences any issue whatsoever. Do you know, we'd gone the last 3 or 4 games not scoring a goal, but you could evidently see that opposition defences were having a tough game putting up with him, and you were sitting there saying, do you know what, he's opening the game up for other players here. He's giving these defences an absolute torrid time. You'd sit there and say there's a role for him, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, but I don't think he is. I don't think Premier League defences are having much problem dealing with him whatsoever. Yes, it might be a little bit harder than dealing with, I don't know, a 17-year-old Lewis Dobbin or something, but they're not having that big of an issue dealing with him, clearly. And he's not offering nothing, so I don't know why he's still staying on the pitch for as long as he is. He should have come off for Richarlison. Again, done very little today, and it's hard to give him any higher of a score than 2 for his effort. His effort was there, his work rate was there. I'm sure he worked 100%. I'm sure he's absolutely shattered now, but just not good enough. Just doesn't offer us enough. Onto the substitute bench then. Richarlison's getting a 7. Look, come on, and done what he was asked to do. Scored the goal to put us 2-1 up. And, again, as I said, for me, should have started or at least come on a lot earlier, or at least come on for somebody else. But he come on and done what he was asked to do. He got us back in front, he scored the goal, and he was let down by a dreadful defensive performance after that. And then Alex Iwobi is getting a 5. Didn't really do much. When he come on, I think he attacked a couple of times, but never really done much. And Rafa Benitez today is getting a 2. I think he got it wrong. I think he got it wrong with the starting 11, arguably, with Richarlison not starting. But to give him his due, okay, you'd say, well, maybe he wasn't fit enough. He definitely got it wrong with the substitutions. And again, we saw it against Aston Villa. We saw it again today. We're seeing periods where Everton, don't get me wrong, we were poor. I thought we were much better against Villa than we were today. We were awful today. The game was scrappy. We couldn't keep hold of the ball. We couldn't pass it 5 yards. But again, we've saw a period of 15 minutes where we've conceded 4 goals. Now, we had the period of 9 minutes where we conceded 3 away to Aston Villa, and you could say, do you know what? 1 off. We've done it to Burnley the week before. 1 off, move on, get on with it. It's not a 1 off if it's happening again, and it's happening at home to a Watford side who aren't that great, and we've conceded 4 in 15 minutes. There's a clear mentality problem here. There's a clear defeatist mentality issue, and it's clear that when these players concede the goal or something bad happens, their heads just drop, and that's it then. You cannot expect to be anything more than a mid-table, bang-average Premier League side with that mentality ingrained in your club. So it needs gone. It needs gone now. But yeah, look, there you go. That is the player ratings. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like. Don't forget to let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Check out the instant match reaction if you haven't already. That is up now. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Big thanks for watching. As I said in the instant match reaction, I refuse to allow Everton to ruin my weekend once again. I do. So I'm putting this aside. I will refuse to talk about any type of football with anybody for the rest of the day, and I'm focusing solely on anything else that isn't football. But yeah, and I suggest we all do the same, because that's the only way that we're going to get through the rest of the night without absolutely fuming. But there you go. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.